What is up, viewers and viewettes? It's your boys at Floyd Maximus Entertainment. We are the five-time fantasy football PPR draft champions. We're bringing you another fantasy football draft. We had to do a second one after the news of Jordy Nelson going down.
Jordy Nelson going down. Awful, awful news. Anyways, just to keep you updated, this is a 1-point PPR league. Receivers are going to fly off the board. I'm projecting there's going to be 10 to 12 receivers going the first 24 picks. And we have the fourth pick here. We're looking at Antonio Brown and Odell Beckham.
Now, who we taking?
Got to take ODB. Surprised he was there. Brown, Peterson, Bell went 1, 2, 3, 2 Steelers. So Beckham is that first pick. On the next pick here, we can either go receiver or running back. It's pretty flexible. You still got to nail your second round pick.
Now, you guys might be pretty shocked that Odell Beckham, we took him so early, but if you look down the stretch last year, he just outperformed everybody by a mile. Isn't that right?
Yes, he had 115 points in the last 3 games. The next closest player had 80. He tore up the league, done things we haven't seen in years.
So I guess kind of an even spread of running backs and wide receivers going in the first round. There you see Randall Cobb going very high.
Cobb went high. This is right after the Jordy Nelson injury. Actually, hours after the Jordy Nelson injury, Cobb went extremely high, and Luck goes ridiculously high.
Wow.
With that third pick in the second round, I'm not sure what that guy's trying to get at, but
I have him as my number one quarterback by far. I just don't think you need to take him in the second round.
I'd probably take him in the fourth round, third or fourth. But
Agree.
Even then, it'd be tough for me to take Luck.
So now Titty Hilton's on the board. I know there's a lot of praise for him, but that's kind of a socialist offense. We're going to go with Matthews here.
I do like Titty Hilton, but we love Matthews more. Matthews should be finished around 8 to 10 in the receiver. Macklin is gone. He's going to get tons of targets, tons of looks in that Chip Kelly offense.
Yes, and we know year in and year out, Chip Kelly's offense produces stud wide receivers.
Matthews was the pick, so we have 2 receivers. Now Jimmy Graham's off the board. That's slightly late. So we took Manny Sanders with that third pick. I know he's considered a bust this year, but Peyton Manning is not going to have his second receiver without 1,000 yards.
Yeah, if you look out through the history of Peyton Manning's career, he's always had multiple receivers with 1,000 yards and really good statistics. I think people hate on Manny Sanders because of their new offensive coordinator who wants to run the ball. But as long as Peyton Manning is in that offense, he's calling the shots, he's calling the plays, they're going to be pass happy.
Yes, that is correct. Melvin Gordon did go pretty high. I think that's pretty high for him. That's the middle of the third round. We had a few running backs go, Jonathan Stewart and Latavius Murray. He's also hype train because he had that one game in Kansas City last year where he had two TDs and had over 100 yards on, I believe, like 2 carries. So I don't think he's that good of a pick.
Devontae Adams going really high. A lot of people trying to compensate for Jordy Nelson going down.
Yes, the third leading receiver last year in Green Bay was Eddie Lacy, not Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams should get a ton more targets. He's going to be the number 2. Should finish between 50 and 70 targets, but that's way too high of a price for that quality of receiver.
So we have 3 running backs on the board that we actually like, but choo-choo motherfuckers, we're going with the hype train Amir Abdullah, America's running back.
The second round pick out of Nebraska. He's fighting carries with Joique Bell, but I believe between game 5 and 6 of the season, he's going to be the starter and take over the league.
Yeah, I would expect Joique Bell to vulture some touchdowns.
I don't really care. It's not many touchdowns.
Neither do I. Haters going to hate, and players
hate.
are going to take Amir Abdullah in the third round, late third. So I'm happy with our 2 running backs.
So quick thing here, we just had Martavis Bryant go. We targeted him in the 4th and 5th, as well as Jarvis Landry. Those are 2 really good 4th and 5th round picks. We got Alfred Morris on the back end. Shouldn't be there. He goes in the round between pick 30 and 35. We got him extremely late. I know Matt Jones is playing well this preseason, but Morris is a good back. He's going to get the bulk of the carries in Washington.
Yes, interesting fun fact. In the last 3 years, the only 2 running backs to average over 1,200 yards and around 9 TDs are Marshawn Lynch and, you guessed it, Alfred Morris.
So that is a solid pick. Now we're coming into the 6th round. A lot of players are going off the board. Macklin, I think that's a huge value pick in the 5th round. I know there's a lot of hate. They're not throwing TDs in Kansas City, but he still tore up the league last year. We had a few quarterbacks to go, Big Ben and Manning. So quarterbacks come off the board. Danny Woodhead goes extremely high. He was injured last year. I think week 1 didn't play, but he had about 80 catches the year before, so that was a good pick.
So I got a text message from one of my best friends in the NFL. His name is FFoster, and he told me that his injury isn't that bad.
We just found out today he possibly could come back a lot sooner than expected. He was supposed to come back week 9 or 10. We took him in the early round. We took him in the 6th round, but he's actually going to come back between weeks 2 and 4. That is an absolute steal in the 6th round.
Yes, because he's rated as the number 6 running back on our rankings. And to get a first round player this late could absolutely put our team over the top come playoff time. So if you guys are worried about FFoster, a good rule of thumb is to take him in the 6th or 7th round, and he's a big gamble that can really pay off in the playoffs.
We just took LeGarrette Blount. He's suspended for 1 game, but is going to get the bulk of the carries in New England. I know a lot of people hate because Belichick changes running backs every week, but he's a solid starting running back. We got to take him.
Yes, we all know what LeGarrette Blount can do when he gets the ball. He absolutely crushed the Colts multiple times with 3 touchdowns and 150 yards. Love LeGarrette Blount, especially on our bench, adding running back depth to our team.
Round 8, we're actually looking at QB. We might be taking a quarterback. We're not entirely sure. We see LaFell on the board. He's a nice pickup, and we do pick up Brandon LaFell.
Yeah, I like Brandon LaFell. Really quiet season last year, but we're going to go ahead and take our guy at QB, Cam Newton.
It seems like we always take Cam every year.
Ride and die, baby.
We do just love Cam because of his rushing stats. We might take him because he's our favorite player, but you got to realize, take players when you want them because you can't wait around and not take your player.
Yeah, Cam Newton is our favorite by far.
So in these rounds here, you probably have your starting squad. Now it's time to build depth on your team. You could still find very good picks in the 8th to 10th round. Players who will not be flashy picks, but will be solid flex plays when you have your buys. In rounds 8 to 10, we see Victor Cruz go. We see the Seahawks defense go. That's what you don't want to do. You don't want to build. You don't want to grab your defense when your starters are filled because building a bench is huge in fantasy. You're basically going to keep between 6 and 8 players on your roster the entire year, and then everyone else you're going to add drop. So in these rounds, you want to pick players with high ceilings on high-powered offenses.
One of the players we like here that we saw fall was Isaiah Crowell. Now, we know Cleveland is going to run the ball, and they can actually do that well. They can't do a lot of things on offense well, but they can run the ball. Crowell had 8 touchdowns last year, and he runs like an animal. If only Cleveland would fall in love with him and make him their official starter, he has the potential upside to be a top 20 back.
We see Darren Sproles go. We really wanted Sproles. He went, but we got Cam Newton's main target. It's going to be Funchess this year. He's taken Benjamin's targets. Should finish somewhere in the top 25 receivers because Benjamin had 150 or so targets. He's going to get at least 120 this year.
I know he's really raw, but he has the size and some skill that we saw him flash in the preseason. And even if he takes those targets from Kelvin Benjamin and turns half of them into decent stats, he'll be a solid fantasy play for your team.
Yes. Now we're looking at round 12. We're trying to see who is on the board, and we see my man Phillip Rivers, who shouldn't be there.
Very surprised to see Phillip Rivers still here. Had 31 touchdowns last year, and how guaranteed is it that he throws for 4,000 yards?
7 out of the last 8 seasons, Phillip has thrown for 4,000 yards. Unless he gets hurt, he's a very solid backup or starter for our team.
We just see Jordy go, LOL. He's out for the season. We're going to take Larry Donnell. One of our strategies is to wait on tight ends at all costs because Donnell can be a stud this year.
I know there's a lot of hate on him because he had all of his TDs basically in one game. He scored 3 TDs, I believe, week 3 or 4 last year. And after Odell Beckham came in, I think he had about 4 points a game. I'm not worried about that at all. If he plays in the Giants, he should be good for about 50 or 60 catches and 6 TDs.
Yep, fun fact, the 2 league leaders in red zone targets at tight end were Jimmy Graham and Larry Donnell.
So depth is all you're looking for here. Fred Jackson was a nice pick. He was 3rd for running backs and targets, had 90, finished 22nd overall in PPR. We find Andre Williams. The man shouldn't have been here. Very crazy pick. He's in that backfield with Jennings and Vereen. It's quite crowded in New York, but he shouldn't have been there. He's a 9th round pick. Taking a value pick in Andre Williams.
So even with Jennings in the backfield, it is rumored that Williams will get the goal line carries. I love that pick. And now we're going to take our best friend on the New Orleans Saints at tight end, Jimmy Hill.
I've seen this guy be like ranked 12th at tight end. I've also seen him ranked as like 26th. They're nervous because Ben Watson is getting touches. Ben Watson and Jimmy Hill both scored in the preseason. I'm not concerned. Cut Jimmy Graham's stats in half, and we have a solid season. So much potential in that New Orleans offense.
Now we're looking for those premium backup players that can burst onto the scene if a main player goes down with a huge injury.
Monte Ball, first round pick last year. Funny story, he got buried in the depth chart after the no name CJ Anderson tore up the league.
And we know that Denver offense will always produce a great running back. Now we're going to go and take a defense. Finally, we've filled up our roster and our bench. Look at Amir Abdullah here. We're going to watch a highlight on him because we're pumped that we got him. For defenses, we like the Cardinals. Solid return game and solid secondary. That's all you need to know.
But honestly, with defense, all you got to do is add drop every week. Find teams with good matchups. You're not going to keep a defense unless they're on an extremely hot streak.
So yeah, you could basically pick up a defense that plays the Jags every week and they'll drop very, very high points. A deep sleeper we like is Cole Beasley. Young Wes Welker.
He signed a decent contract. He's going to be in the slot for Dallas. I believe he had about 40 catches last year. If Terrence Williams goes down, he's the number 2 in Dallas, and that's going to be nice.
Somebody snags up Beasley, so we go ahead and take Malcolm Floyd, a player who went very early in our last draft. Didn't really know too much about him, just that he's tall and plays with Phillip Rivers.
As we are rounding out the draft, you see a theme is drafting handcuffs. You definitely want to do that now. Snag a good handcuff. I mean, Niles Davis will go extremely early. He'll go in round 10, but you can still draft a solid backup. We like Carey for Forte, Starks for Lacey. Just draft first round handcuffs. You'll be golden.
Now we're just looking for a kicker. This could be a player that you add drop until you find the right one throughout the season. But we like a super deep sleeper kicker. Just discovered him the day of the draft. Dustin Hopkins kicks for the Saints, 10 games in a dome.
We do like that. Saints are going to be a top 5 offense this year. All he's got to do is kick field goals. That offense is going to be nice.
And without Jimmy Graham in the red zone, I expect field goal opportunities to increase.
So this concludes our draft. 20 rounds, 240 players selected. We're going to finish top 1-2 in this league, guaranteed. Thank you for watching, and we're out. How would I forget? Let us know who you like. Let us know who you don't like, who we drafted. Hope you do well in your drafts. Take advice from us. You'll be winning leagues for days. We're going to keep this updated with waiver wire and all that good stuff throughout the season. Thank you for watching. We're out.